Good afternoon, everybody. Happy lunchtime. Happy Thursday. I hope you've had a good week so far. And hey, Phyllis, nice to see you. Glad you could join me today. It's like lovely to see you every day. Thank you for coming in. And Tisha, good to see you too. I like your new profile picture, Tisha. It's really cute. You wearing the mask. I like that. Good afternoon, all. Welcome aboard. I'm here in my office again. I think I'm probably going to do most of my talks for the next few days in my office because it's raining outside, and I don't like leaving my dogs outside in the rain, so I leave them in my kitchen when they're in the house. And unfortunately, my pup likes to kind of make his presence known. I mean, it's not unfortunate, but it's sometimes annoying to have my pup intervene in my presentations. And anyway, so I'm going to be broadcasting from my office here at home for the next few days at least, because it's forecast rain through next Tuesday here in California. So hi, Christy. Nice to see you. Lovely to see you here. So I guess I mean, as you can probably see, today I'm feeling good. I'm kind of high energy. Yeah, Tisha. I mean, that's exactly what my dog would probably do. He would probably try to insert himself in between me and the camera. So that's part of the reason why I'm broadcasting from my home office. So yeah, but so you'll notice that you could probably tell that I'm a little bit higher energy right now, and it's not because I've had extra caffeine today or anything like that. It's just that over these last couple of weeks, as I've been doing this, my energy has ebbed and flowed, and you've probably sensed that as you've seen these videos. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, is our energy. And one of the things is that, and Christy's been ill. She's been really under the weather. She's been, I'm thankful she came back with a negative, test for COVID. But the reality is that, a lot of people are suffering from other, illnesses at the same time that this COVID has been really wreaking havoc. And so our energy levels, during this period of time have really been fluctuating, and a lot of negativity can creep into our minds around our energy levels and our sort of sense of being. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit today, really because energy is so important to us. I mean, we are energetic beings. Everything about us is energy. And it's kind of amazing. I had this realization during a meditation. Probably it was in November. Can't remember exactly what day it was, but I was lying in a nighttime sort of peaceful meditation, and I felt this sort of almost like not burning, but just ball of fire energy throughout my body. And I just envisaged, like, really dove deep inside of me and thought, well, what am I made of? What is it that I am personally made of? What is my body constructed of? And it's constructed of cells. And all of these cells kind of merge together to create our organs, our bones, our blood, our, everything about us, our bodies. And if you look at the construction of a cell and you go down to this minute subatomic level, everything is energy, and there is literally between the energetic, neutrons and protons and all of our, the structure of our cells. There's really a lot of empty space. So there's a lot of nothing in our cells. If you get down to these subatomic, I can't even tell you how far down you'd have to magnify, or out you'd have to magnify, but really every cell in our body, every piece of us is a universe in and of itself. This is how I actually came to understand Einstein's theory of relativity, that within every cell of my body is a potential universe, right? Just because our universe, we see it as this huge vastness of space and time and balls and spheres that are 1,000,000, 2,000,000, 10,000,000 times the size of our sun out there, right? Doesn't mean that we're not a subatomic particle to some other greater being in the in the universe or in the grander scheme of things. So that's kind of how I rationalized, right or wrong, Einstein's theory of relativity in my own mind. And I probably sound like I'm babbling a little bit about what it is that I sort of sense within us and about us. But all I do know is that we are energetic beings, right? And we have this energy center, which is our heart, which is where all of our blood flows, and it flows outward to our brains, to our feet, to our arms, to our fingers, everywhere, right? And that energy that we have actually does ebb and flow, and it's there's a lot of variability in that, because sometimes it's what we eat, sometimes it's what we drink, sometimes it's what we ingest, smoke, inhale, whatever. It does vary what we how we treat our bodies, in terms of what levels of energy we have. Caffeine, for instance, is a common, basically, drug that increases our energy levels, not necessarily sustainably, but it does increase our energy and attention levels, because it spurs our energy upward, right, into more. Speaking of caffeine, I'm just gonna have a quick sip of tea here. So our energy really does vary, and it really does kind of come and go, ebb and flow. And I think the reason why I was really focused on that today is because, like I said, as you can tell, I'm more energetic in how I'm talking today and how I'm coming across. And that's because I woke up this morning with a lot more energy. Yesterday, when I woke up, overnight on Tuesday, I had this phone call in the middle of the night from my daughter. They had to take my other daughter's dog to the emergency vet at 3:15 in the morning, and I got this call at 10 to 4. So it really disrupted my pattern, my sleep pattern and everything else. And so last night, as a result, right, I slept a little bit differently than I would have done had I not been woken up the night before. So I'm more energetic today because I've been able to kind of recover from that sort of shock where my energy went down and now it's come back up. And I think that's part of it, right? Our sleep patterns are affected at the moment while we're in this kind of shelter in place thing. And maybe we're not doing as much exercise or getting out as much, right? We're not going for as many walks or moving around as much as we normally would during the day when you're kind of out and about, right? So say, for instance, you have a commute to work, right? You get up, you get yourself dressed and ready, you go out the door, you get in your car, you drive to work, you walk from your car to your desk, then part of the day you're going to be walking around. Maybe you'll walk to lunch, or you'll walk to and from the coffee machine or whatever. Whereas working at home, maybe you're not doing as much of that, right? You're sitting around more. You're I've seen these memes where where am I going to go on vacation this year? El kitcheno, el living room, los bathrooms, or whatever. I can't remember the exact meme, but we're not necessarily moving and expending as much energy as we normally will. But maybe we're eating the same amounts, and we're drinking the same amounts of coffee and teas and things like that. So it's going to have an impact on our energy and how we feel. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that. But then, but I'm not judging anybody. I'm not saying, go out and do more exercise because, hey, like me right now, and I jokingly say I'm going to melt if I go out because it's raining here in Southern California, and has been all week. And it's supposed to rain until Tuesday of next week, with the exception of maybe a clear day on Saturday. So I've realized that I'm not getting as much sort of outside activity, exercise around my garden or outside in the yard, even just walking my dogs around my property like I would do every day because it's so wet, and I don't particularly want to walk around in wet shoes, and I really don't feel like drying my dogs off as soon as I walk them through the door every time. So, a little bit is that. And another part of it is that, it is that sort of, really, do I really want to go outside? Do I really want to go spend that energy and go do something? And that's the thing that I think a lot of us may be struggling with while we're working from home, is that second bit. And I guess from my point of view, yeah, it's okay. Right now it's probably okay that you're not necessarily pushing yourself like you may normally have done during the day. But, habits are really, I talked about this in the first week that I did this. It was maybe my second broadcast was talking about habits. Habits are good things sometimes, and they can be, really negative things some other times. But good habits are good to try and keep going while you're here in this sort of self-quarantine, self-isolation piece, if you can. So my kind of suggestion is, eat healthily, or as healthily as you can, and do what you can in terms of getting yourself out and expending some energy. Because the more energy you expend, obviously, the more you're going to then need to recover. Your night times will be more restful, and you'll find yourself with even more energy the next day. Because yesterday, like I said, I was pretty low energy, having been on the back of getting woken up in the middle of the night, and there was some stress around that. There was some emotional stress around that, and that's okay. So, recovering from that, and today, here I am, I'm feeling a lot better. And by the way, the reason for the call, for those of you who didn't know or haven't seen on my Facebook page, is my most recent Widower's Way post around being the lone parent. My oldest daughter's dog was very, very off his normal self Tuesday evening, and so as a result, my daughter ended up having to take him to the vet at 3:15 in the morning, overnight Tuesday morning, and I got a phone call at 3:49 to tell me that they were at the vet. And of course, as the lone parent, I got that phone call, and you dread getting a phone call from a child in the middle of the night anytime, let alone both parents, if you're around, would probably dread getting a phone call in the middle of the night from a child, let alone, a lone parent. And yeah, so I had a little bit of emotion and stress around that. So Tuesday night's sleep wasn't the most restful. So then last night, obviously, I slept better. So I'm much more energetic today. And, and energy is, like I say, something that ebbs and flows. It's something that we can alter, through a number of different ways. One is mindset. You can actually alter your mood and alter your energy just through your mind, right? And I'm not talking about mind control. I'm talking about just the nature of your thoughts. And we've talked about that before. But the reality is that, even thoughts are energetic, right? They send energy through your body. So by being more thoughtful and conscious of your thoughts and how they are for you. So positive thoughts have positive energy, negative thoughts have negative energy, and that's, you know, I'm not the, you know, I'm not the, you know, one who's coined that or said that to, you know, to the world. It's, you know, it's been proven scientifically. Oh, Tish, yeah, Tisha, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's awful, and yeah, so yeah, it's unfortunate that that sort of thing happens still, but it's better that he wasn't in the accident himself. So yeah, I'm sorry that that happened, but yeah, so you know, being an energetic being, you know, trying to maintain a level of energy or sustain it in some way is quite important, I think. And I use you know, my diet to do that. I use supplements. Uh, I do drink coffee. I have a coffee in the morning. That's good. That's good news, Tisha. Um, you know, I have a coffee every morning, and then the rest of the day I'll either have tea or water. Occasionally I'll have unsweetened fruit juice. But the crucial thing here is food, and diet, for, you know, sustainable energy. And a lot of the foods, unfortunately, that we get these days, prepackaged and fast foods, and you know, things like bleached white flours and things like that, are actually energy sapping. They actually take our energy rather than give us energy. Some of them will give us a quick rush through, you know, high carbohydrates and high sugars and things like that. But then we have a crash, right? And that's not good. That's not a good kind of sort of energy sort of rush. So really, what I'm talking about is kind of maintaining your energy, or at least trying to, but also recognizing that you know, that it does fluctuate, and it can fluctuate based on your thoughts and on your mood, what's going on around you, what you're taking in. You know, I can be really high energy, and an email will come across the desk with some bad news, or it'll have something political on it that I'm just not interested in, and it'll automatically drop my energy level or drop my mood, because it's not feeding or nurturing what it is that I need inside of me to be an energetic being. You know, to have a sustainable energy source and field, and feel like I'm, you know, I'm more buoyant and energetic. So yeah, I try to avoid, you know, as much as possible, the sort of negativity that we find in, you know, in reporting and things. I mean, you can't avoid it altogether, but I try to avoid as much of it as possible. So limiting my news, limiting my social media exposure, says, again, the guy who's on Facebook every day. Um, but but I'm not actually scrolling through Facebook when I'm on here, you know, when I'm doing these talks. I'm actually just here and doing my talk, and that's it. And I hope that when you're joining me, you're staying along for the whole ride, or at least as much of it as you possibly can. So so yeah, so in terms of like sort of maintaining energy, minimizing my consumption of that sort of negativity that's out there really does actually make a huge difference to my energy levels. And I know, and I can sense, because I've become more in tune with it, that when I actually do see things that I think are negative, or get the sense that I'm starting to absorb something that is of a negative energy source, then I'll probably, you know, unless it's really super important to me and personal to me, I will try to avoid, you know, reading too much of it or too much into it, so that I don't sap my own energy. And one of my late wife's favorite sayings was, you know, worry does not stop the sorrow of tomorrow, it only saps the energy of today. So, that in and of itself is a really powerful kind of sentiment. And it's something else that I subscribe to, which is, I guess, part of the reason why I'm doing these lunchtime talks is, this is a really frightening point in human history. We've had global pandemics before, but we've not had anything like this in terms of its spread and its potential to decimate the populations, right? The Spanish flu of 1918 was the last great pandemic, and that spread, slowly, but there wasn't as, we didn't have as advanced medical equipment and care that we do now, but at the same time, we didn't have the rapid transport travel, the ability to move around as much and as quickly. There wasn't international flights. There weren't international, trips to, Mexico and Canada by car or by train or however, and then, international flights from all over the world every day, So the rate of transmission was significantly higher for this, and obviously the reason why we're now sheltering in place or at stay-at-home orders and things like that is to slow that spread. And it makes a lot of sense when you look at it from that perspective. But the idea behind maintaining your energy levels by going out and exercising and doing that sort of thing is still crucial during this period of time. And it's hard to want to do that, or it's not to want to do that, but it's hard to do that when you're not sure whether you're going to walk too close to somebody else or whatever. If you're in a big city, it's almost impossible to walk down the street without being too close to somebody else. And if they're not wearing a mask, they're not wearing any personal protective equipment, and they're carrying the virus, they could be spreading it to everyone else. And I know MIT and a few other universities and health departments have modeled what could happen if, say, you're jogging and and you're a carrier. You may not be suffering the symptoms, but you may be carrying the virus. And as you're jogging and you're breathing heavily out your nose or through your mouth or whatever, however you do, when I run, I breathe out my nose. As you're breathing out, you're still spreading the minuscule particles of the virus. And if anybody's walking past you or behind you or riding a bike up behind you, and they're not wearing protective gear either, then they're potentially inhaling those particles and exposing themselves to the virus. So there's all sorts of things there that you need to be aware of if you are going to go out and exercise. But having said that, I remember junior high school. You guys I don't know if everybody ever had to do this, but you had to run in place for 5 minutes. You had to stand there and just run in place for 5 minutes. And God, I used to hate that. But now I kind of see, well, it was training us for that sort of thing right now. If you want to expend some energy or do a little bit of exercise, run in place for 10 minutes. Do some jumping jacks. Do some push-ups or squats or whatever. Anything really just to get your body moving, because the more you move and the more energy you expend during a day, right, the more you're going to want to eat and eat healthily, hopefully, and then the more energy you're going to end up having. And as long as you keep that cycle going, you're going to be a lot healthier and you're going to be a lot happier, because having more energy generally tends to make you, a more, your mood a little bit more stable. And that's part of the sort of process that I go through on a daily basis is, I try my best to walk around my property, walk around the house, do some exercise, do some push-ups, I actually have a pull-up bar. I do some pull-ups. Um, I have some weights down in the garage. I do weights. I try to do that every day. Even if it's not a lot, even if it's only 20 minutes, right? And they're not very heavy weights because, let's face it, I'm a little guy. I don't, I don't, I don't lift a whole lot. So, I just want to do that exercise and expend that energy. So that's one of the reasons why I think, being as healthy as you possibly can in terms of the food and drink, and limiting your caffeine maybe a little bit more than you might do if you would normally have, I don't know, 2 or 3 cups of coffee at the office every day. Maybe just cut it down to 1 or 2 at home, because, and not for you, Simon. I mean, you probably have about 10 espressos a day, so. Maybe cut it down to 7 if you're not getting out of the house anymore, if you're not getting to the blind bus driver. But the reality is that we need to kind of maybe cut back a little bit on our sort of energy giving foods and drinks, because maybe we're not expending as much. But just kind of keep an eye on that, keep a monitor on that, and see how your mood goes, because I think a lot of the times that it's not just what we consume in social media and on the news and on the TV and such that affects our energy levels. It's what we eat and drink and everything else, and that's a scientifically proven fact, obviously, that what we eat and drink will increase or decrease our energy levels. And the combination of being at home, maybe not getting as much exercise, and you'd be surprised at how much exercise you actually get just literally walking out of the door, going someplace, walking around somewhere, and just going on a normal shopping trip, which you may not be doing as often as you were, is meaning that you're spending less energy outside of the house. So if you're bearing in mind all of these things, all this combination of factors, then examining and paying a little bit closer attention to what it is that you do and what you intake in terms of foods and drinks and anything else that you might enjoy. Just be conscious of it is all. And have that awareness about you. And you'll see that your energy levels can be maintained and sustained. So anyway, I'm butting up on my half an hour that I like to keep these talks to. And once again, I very much appreciate all of you who've been able to join me, and thank you for your interaction. It's been lovely to see you all. Hope you're having a fantastic nearly Friday, and tomorrow's Friday, last day of the week, last one of these of this week, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow, 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Until then, have a great afternoon, evening, and good night, wherever you may be in the world. All right? Take care, everybody. Thank you for joining me.